guys, welcome to today's Big Brother Over the Top updates and spoilers. Our house guest of the day is Jack D65. What's up, man? So he says so far he likes Jason, Alex, Shelby, and Justin. Doesn't it suck though, like when your favorites hate each other? I feel you, man. I feel you. And he also said that he wants to see like at least 2 episodes per week instead of the 1 because it's a lot easier to keep track of everything. It's kind of rough with 1 episode a week, and I sort of agree with you, but at the same time, I'm kind of really enjoying this format so far. I mean, I feel like we get pretty much the gist of what's going on from those weekday recaps, but it does suck that they're like, we're not gonna work on the weekends. What? But that's why you come here. Yay! Okay. So thank you so much for your support, and thanks for your messages too, talking about the season, because I enjoy reading them. And if you guys want to be house guests today, check out our Patreon link in the info box below. Alright, so let's talk about what's going on. Yesterday was the best day ever because Jason won the power of veto! And if you want to hear more about yesterday's power veto competition, check out yesterday's spoiler. I talked about it in more detail. It was just great. So after the competition, Monty was all, I was right, you're a strong competitor, this proves it, I had a feeling that you'd win. Yes, because you're always right about everything. So then he's saying, if you don't put me up next week, America probably will. I'm ready to vote, let's do this! Let's do it! Alright, so, you know, he's got to spin it and make it all about him. So then Monty is trying to figure out who's going to replace Jason on the block because obviously he's going to use the veto on himself. So he's talking to Shane and he's like, should I put up Chrissy or Shelby? Those are the 2 names that have been floating around. And Shane's like, you need to put up Chrissy because that's what we decided on before and we should not stray from that. And he makes it very clear he does not want Danielle to go home this week. And he feels like Danielle has the best chance of staying up against Chrissy. So then Monty's talking to Danielle and he's telling her you got nothing to worry about, like you probably won't even get any votes, like the only people who should be worried are Cornbread and whoever goes up as the replacement nominee because they're going to be getting all the votes. So then, like fine, but then he says you're Shane's girl so you'll be fine. She is not Shane's girl, her name is Danielle and she's her own person. Okay, so after a few more chats with other people, the consensus seems to be that Chrissy will be the replacement nominee this week. So then we also find out during separate conversations with Morgan and Scott that Monty's next targets are, surprise, Jason still and Justin because he is determined to make this season awful and get rid of all the interesting people. Alright, so then we were treated to an Alex monologue in the storage room, and she was saying, she was telling the feedsters, I do not trust Monty or Shane. Monty's walking around this house like he owns it, he's acting like he's got this thing all won already, and she's saying the only person that she can really trust in this house is her sister, who she wasn't even planning on working with. I can't believe these sisters went into this house thinking they weren't going to work together. Like, are you freaking kidding me? But she's saying, like, even though she can trust her sister, she doesn't know how to strategize. So she feels, like, really alone in this. And she, you know, we've seen her talking to Whitney a lot, but she feels like Whitney is really naive and she trusts the guys way too much. And I totally agree with that. And Alex is also worried that she's going to be a target next week. And I think she does have a reason to worry because people are kind of down on the plastics right now, but we'll come back to that. So Shelby and Scott were having a game chat in the London room, and, you know, we saw that they were kind of working together because they were both part of the OTT Jamboree Alliance, but they were saying, this Jamboree thing's pretty much toast, huh? Like, as a whole, it's donezo, but they still want to salvage some of those individual relationships from it. Of course, you know, they're talking to each other, so they're like, we're good, right? We're cool. And then Scott's trying to give Shelby advice. He's like, you should work with those 3 girls, Whitney, Alex, and, I was going to say Morgan, because they all seem to like you, and they'll keep you safe, and Shelby's like, yeah, Yeah, I like them too. So then Scott's telling Shelby she should be fine for this week because she, you know, she's hearing her name being thrown around. She's getting a little nervous that she's going to be the replacement nominee. But he's like, no, it's cool, cool, cool. Just relax. Because Scott is close to Monty and he knows that Chrissy is supposed to be the replacement this week. All right, so then time for an Alex and Morgan sister whisper session. So Alex is telling her, like, I don't trust Monty. He's got an ego. He's shady. And Morgan's like, oh, he's not like that with me. Because we've been seeing that. Morgan is getting very close to Monty. I think Monty's totally crushing on her. And I don't know if she's feeling the same way back. I thought I heard she had a boyfriend, but I don't know. But they've been, like, sharing that HOH room, like, the past 2 nights. So she's saying it's because Cornbread's a snorer, which, oh my god, it's awful. It's like, oh, it's bad. But, of course, Monty's like, oh no, I'll be all respectful, and there's a lot of distance between us, so he's keeping it respectful. But anyway, I think it's definitely gonna hurt them in the long run, because people are seeing, like, Morgan and Monty, M-team, they're getting pretty close. So Alex is telling Morgan, you need to be careful. She's going to be so pissed if the guys just use the girls again this season. Amen. And I'm just getting some serious flashbacks to Big Brother Canada with the Pax brothers when Phil would always be like, be the good Nicholas that mom and dad raised. I'm just waiting for Alex to be like, be the good Morgan that mom and dad raised. It's like that. All right. So then we were treated to an interesting game chat between Shane and Danielle. So Shane is feeling pretty nervous about the 3 girls working together. Again, Whitney, Alex, and Morgan. Everybody's seeing that those 3 are together, but I guess they kind of feel like Shelby's kind of, she's with them, but she's not totally with them. She's kind of on the outskirts of that group. So he's saying that he would target them if he wins HOH, and you know, it's good for him that he's picking up on this because those girls do not trust him. So it's kind of a mutual distrust there. And he would want to target Whitney and Alex because he thinks that they should leave Morgan in here because Monty likes her. Alright, so I swear, if those 2 have like some sort of showmance thing and then they pair up with the other showmance thing, it's going to be gross. So then Danielle's like, I agree that we should target Alex because she knows the game, but she wants to target Shelby instead of Whitney because Shelby, she's running all over the place. Everybody's been saying that she's playing all sides of the house right now, and they don't like it. So then, bringing it back to this week, Danielle brings up Cornbread being nominated, and she's like, you need to watch out for him because Cornbread is trying to be all up in Monty's butt. He wants to be Monty's right-hand man, and that's supposed to be you. So he's, you know, trying to come between you guys. You know, he could come after you at some point. So Shane seems a little receptive to getting rid of Cornbread this week. He's like, might have to get rid of him at some point anyway, so maybe this week. But they don't know if the votes are going to be there, so they're a little bit nervous to bring that up with other people, especially with Danielle up on the block against him. So then Justin and Scott were chatting in the bathroom area, and somehow it turned into a game conversation, which I was not expecting. But Justin, for sure, is concerned that he's going to be going up in Jason's place because he's out there. He doesn't really connect with Monty. And Scott's like, no, it's going to be Chrissy or Shelby, so just chillax. So then Justin reveals his plans if he wins the next HOH. He's like, I'm putting up mother effing Monty and Shelby, and Monty would be his target. He's like, he's a huge threat. We gotta get rid of him. Oh, damn! Justin came to play! And then he would go after the plastics. Justin is very, very observant. He may not know a lot about the game, but like I said yesterday, he sees who's hanging out with who. He sees who's talking, who's whispering. He knows what's up. And he definitely noticed everyone working together in the POV competition yesterday, except for Jason and Danielle. They were treating them like they had the plague. So he picked up on that. Alright, so then Morgan and Monty were strategizing in the HOH room, and it was just so romantic because they were sharing his HOH wine, and Morgan was pushing for Chrissy to go up on the block instead of Shelby because, of course, Shelby is kind of like you know, sort of working with those 3 girls. So Morgan's trying to protect her. She's like, Shelby's going to be a vote on our side. We're not going to have that with Chrissy. We don't know what she's going to do. She's probably going to be against you. So then Monty's like, yeah, I see what you're saying. He also brings up that he wants Justin out because he thinks that he's like a secret genius and he's unpredictable. He's going to be this huge threat. But he doesn't think he has the votes to do it, so he doesn't want another thing to backfire on him this week. Like, I mean, look what happened with Jason, right? So they also discuss how they're both nervous about this whole Shane and Danielle showmance. Shane Yell. They don't want to lose Shane to Danielle because apparently Danielle's like the devil in the house right now. Not for long, because somebody else can take over. But, yeah, they're nervous about it. And just these cracks in this 4 guys alliance are just getting deeper and deeper. But Monty lets Morgan know that he's the happiest when he's talking to her, Whitney, and Shane. Ugh. All right. So then Shane joins them in the HOH room, making Monty even happier, and he starts drinking out of that wine bottle, right out of the bottle. I love when people do that. And Monty confirms to him that he is putting up Chrissy as the replacement nominee. So then they start talking about Cornbread. Monty's like, you know, Cornbread's not doing so hot. He is a ticking time bomb. And Shane's like, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I'm kind of feeling like Cornbread is trying to come between us, and it worries me. Now, this is what he was talking about earlier with Danielle. So, you know, it is kind of influencing Shane, this whole Danielle relationship here. So Monty's like, oh, you think that? What? Really? So then Monty shares with Shane that Cornbread broke down to them at the dinner table and said that he like cussed out production in the diary room, and he's like, yeah, it was some real off-the-wall stuff. I want to hear more about the off-the-wall stuff, but CBS doesn't want that, so they switched the feeds. Damn it. That would have been a great thing to hear, but oh well. Speaking of Cornbread being a ticking time bomb, about 10 minutes after this conversation was going on in the HOH, Cornbread starts freaking out in the backyard. He's talking to Chrissy and Neely, and he's just like venting about Shelby. Now, we've seen this, he's kind of like a volcano science experiment waiting to blow. And it's about to happen. So, I mean, he dropped like a tirade of F-bombs. It was like Pauly Jr. I mean, Pauly was like F, F, F. Cornbread was like F, blah, 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 F. You know what I mean? Like, there was a lot. So I'm going to take all those out. But the gist of what he was saying is that Shelby's making him miserable. He's been biting his lip. And he's like a really strong person because he's been holding back on freaking out on her. And he tells some story about how Shelby like walked into his room when he was telling a story. She sat down on someone else's bed, like nobody else does that. And, you know, while he was telling this story. And then before the story was over, she got up and was like, F that shit! F this bullshit! I'm out of here. So she got up and left. And then, I don't know if this is an accurate retelling of what actually happened, because I didn't see that on the feeds. I don't know if I just missed it or if they didn't show it. I'm sure like something like that happened, because we've heard Shelby complain many times about people's stories and how she doesn't want to hear them anymore. But I don't know exactly how that went down. If you guys saw it on the feeds, let me know, because I would love to flash back to it. But anyway, Cornbread is like, don't effing bring the ghetto out of me. I'll goddamn get on your ass. Like, he is freaking out. Like, you need to chill out, man. So he's saying that Shelby is lacking some kind of medication. That's really messed up. In another conversation, he called her, like, crazy bitch Tourette's or something. Like, that's not cool. That's not cool. But Chrissy's saying, oh, maybe she should go home and get on her medication or whatever. So she's trying to, you know, say, yeah, Shelby should go up on the block. We should get rid of Shelby. Okay. And Chrissy is pretty convinced that it is Shelby that's going to be the replacement nominee. She didn't even talk to Monty about not going up on the block. She's very confident that it's going to be Shelby. So then Chrissy is telling Cornbread what he wants to hear pretty much. She's like, oh no, you're so strong for not freaking out on her, and like, you just need to vent sometimes. But she also does dislike Shelby. We've heard her say it. So news of this freak out just spreads all around the house, of course. Are you surprised that Scott was the one spreading it? Nope. Okay, so everybody's saying like, oh, Cornbread's digging his own grave. Yeah, I would agree with that. So Scott, Alex, and Shane were talking, and they're like, Cornbread is more concerned, he's more fixated on this Shelby thing than being nominated by America. Which is, you know, it's kind of true, but I think it's also related. It seems like Cornbread is trying to blame being nominated by America on Shelby. He's like, Shelby's making me, like, be a jerk, blah, blah, blah. I don't think it's her fault, but okay. So this morning, Jason and Danielle were chatting, and they were talking about how they want Shelby up on the block as a replacement. No. But, I mean, I understand where they're coming from because Chrissy is on their side. They know that she's, like, the other option here. And Shelby, they feel like, is a snake. They can't really trust her. So they don't think that Monty will listen to them if they're like, hey, you should put up Shelby. So they want to try and get Cornbread and Shane to help convince Monty to put Shelby up on the block. But first, we've got other stuff going on. Big Brother gave Monty this card to read to everyone. It's like, yo, what up? The Big Brother swimsuit photo shoot is today. Get your asses ready in 30 minutes. Wash your ass. Imagine if they said that. Okay, so while everybody was getting ready, Scott reports to Monty. He's like, yo, Jason and his crew want Shelby nominated, and he's telling Monty, don't waste your HOH on Shelby. They turned on her real quick, and do you really think that if they're in power next week that they're gonna, like, get rid of Chrissy for us? So don't be doing their dirty work. And Monty's like, oh yeah, good point, good point. Alright, so then it's time for the photo shoot in the backyard. And this was actually really interesting because we've never seen this before on the live feeds. We never get to see it. But we saw the house guests interact with other humans because, of course, they had the photographer in the backyard. They had, like, all the other production people helping out. And it was funny to see them doing all their, like, cheesy poses and stuff. But I think the other takeaway from this, Shelby was, like, very uncooperative. She's like, oh, I don't do this. I don't like pose in my bathing suit like a hoe. And she was just not easy to work with, and I don't think it was helping her at all with the other house guests because they picked up on that and they were just like, oh shit, like, you have this amazing opportunity and you're gonna act like that. So anyway, they go back in the house after the photo shoot. Danielle is pitching to Monty because this POV ceremony's coming up, and she's like, you should put up Shelby, no one likes her. And Monty's like, I see what you're saying, but don't forget, Shelby is very close with those 3 girls, and I want to make sure that you have the votes to stay. I don't know if you're really that safe up against Shelby and Cornbread. So she's like, okay, I respect what you do. Alright, so then it was time for the POV meeting, which was live, and I loved it. So Jason was like, yo, this is POV ceremony. He gave the 2 other nominees a chance to give a speech or whatever. So Cornbread's speech, what the F? It was really weird. He did not even look at Jason. It was almost like he was acting like it was a pre-eviction speech, and he was like talking to everyone saying like, don't get rid of me, I'm a well-rounded player, like I think I'm up there with, you know, with the best of it. What are you talking about? Why would you say that? And still, he did not even look at Jason. It was a total rookie move. He didn't know what was going on. Danielle was like, I know you're not going to use the veto on me, you should use it on yourself. Okay, thanks, bye. Alright, so of course Jason did use it on himself, and then Chrissy was nominated in his place. So then that means that Chrissy, Cornbread, or Danielle will be leaving tomorrow for the first live eviction of the season. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens here. First instinct is Chrissy, but I mean, anything could happen. It's going to be really interesting to see how these votes fall. So I think the next 24 hours or so are going to be crazy. The feeds are going to be lit. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. And until tomorrow, much love.